When agencies do take our recommendations to heart, good things can happen in the city, and they can happen soon. An agency disagrees with a recommendation. It happens from time to time, but I think it's in the agency's best interest to listen closely to the recommendations that we make.
Our recommendations are meant to help agencies improve, not just point out what's wrong. We can all work together to make Denver a better place.
Recommendations are really specific actions for members of an agency management to address risks that we see in the agency. And what we want them to do is take action to mitigate the risk of their not achieving the goals or objectives of the organization. Sometimes we see outside of city government that an agency might be better served by adopting best practices.
Our audit teams work diligently to gather information to support their findings and recommendations. City agencies can agree or disagree with our recommendations.
Unfortunately, from time to time, we're unable to convince an agency the importance of making our recommended changes. Recently at the airport, management chose to disagree with a number of our recommendations on 2 audits. We made recommendations that I believe could bring another $1 million a year to the airport. We're currently losing because they're not collecting late fees and they're not collecting interest on late fees. We also made recommendations to the finance division of the airport to operate with better accuracy and less wasted time due to processing errors. Finally, we recommended better time management for grant work to ensure that the airport cannot be on the hook for money they expect to get reimbursed. And specifically, the airport needs to apply for a grant from the federal government. They need to have the grant approved by the federal government before they start expending the money. Often, when an agency disagrees, we will write what's called an auditor's addendum to the report to address the disagreement that the agency has raised. And while we stand by our assessment of a need for improvement, our addendum is published alongside the agency's reason for disagreeing so that the public can read and understand both sides. The next step in the process highlights the importance of our monthly independent audit committee. This is our chance to publicly walk through findings and recommendations and our reasoning. The agency also has an opportunity to explain their disagreement, and audit committee members ask questions. Many constituents have asked, what happens next after you make a whole number of recommendations? What are the agencies, what are they responsible to do? The auditor does not have any enforcement power with our recommendations, but you, the people, have an opportunity. If you see recommendations that you don't think are being adequately addressed, contact your city council member, contact the mayor's office. They will listen.
The people of Denver are the boss. If enough members of the community speak out about the importance of making changes, then it's more likely that the city leaders will listen.
We also work on videos like this and other community communication efforts to make sure that you know what's happened. It's up to you to make change happen. A recent example of where an agency took our recommendations seriously was our audit of the Denver Botanic Gardens. Our audit last year found some concerns about safety and security in the gardens, especially during big events. Families in the community love the Botanic Gardens. I love the Botanic Gardens, and we all know it's important to keep visitors, especially children, safe while they're there. We made some 25 recommendations to the garden and followed up this year to see their progress. And I'm delighted to say that a genuine effort has been made to make some significant changes in how the garden operates. Management went above and beyond what was necessary to make sure that the Botanic Gardens operates better for the people in Denver. When agencies take to heart our recommendations, I think good things can happen, just like at the Botanic Gardens. Well, that's it for this episode of Ask the Auditor. If you have a question, submit it to auditor@denvergov.org, and maybe your question will be the next one we answer on the next episode of Ask the Auditor.